Code Vein is currently being attacked online because of its fan service. Apparently, the game is sexist. It is disgusting the way that they are portraying the female characters in this game, and reviewers are actually giving the game a lower score because of the fan service, because they do not like the characters dressed in scantily clad armor, and that is what I wanted to discuss today. I wanted to go through two specific articles and really discuss their whole reasoning behind why they gave the game a lower rating, because they are lowering the ratings because of one little thing. The first article is from Shack News, and it says, "Those aren't my eyes." I can't very well talk about Code Vein without discussing the anime qualities it has. Yes, it is an anime game, if you could not tell already. It's staring you right at the face as you begin. It's evident in the story, the music, and the design for the characters. For those unfamiliar with the style, it can be confronting at first. This is a game that does lean heavily on its fan service, yes. Continuing on, it says, "The male characters in Code Vein are sleek, clothed in leather and fine fabric, and are otherwise appropriately dressed for combat. The female characters, on the other hand, would make the developers at Team Ninja blush." Actually, the male characters are showing a lot of chest, and you can change their outfits that do show quite a bit of skin, so yes, their presets may not show as much skin as the female characters, but that does not mean it is not arousing to people that want to be interested in the male characters. If you are not interested in the male characters, then you would not obviously notice the things that are supposed to be more fan service for them. Continuing on, it says, "Even the female bosses and enemies are scantily clad, bursting at the seams and otherwise incredibly buxom. It's a lot of fanfare. It's almost a parody of what you would consider a stereotypical anime experience. I noted in my hands-on preview that it felt like I was fighting a demon stripper." A demon stripper? Do you mean a succubus? Is that what the wording and the terminology that he's looking for? Yes, obviously, looking at the picture, this is one of the bosses, and all of the female characters, or most of them, are dressed in scantily clad armor. But this game was marketed this way. They have showed off a ton of women in this game and a ton of female characters dressed in a very provocative way. This was their art design. This is the way that the developers wanted to go for the game. They wanted to lean heavily on the fan service, and I'm glad for that. I personally have played Code Vein. I have put a lot of hours into it so far. I am nowhere close to finishing the game yet, though. But I think that the game so far is fantastic. I love the way that they are portraying the female characters. I do not think that a female being covered up and being completely covered head to toe, like in Mortal Kombat 11, means that they are stronger and they are automatically less weak than a female character that is showing more skin. I think that it is completely okay when a developer and a creator wants to make a female character look this way. I do not see this as a problem. And obviously, the person that is playing the game, reviewing the game, they gave it a lesser rating, and this is one of their cons. Look at the list of pros. Fast-paced, challenging combat, large and intense boss fights, rich world building and storytelling, interwoven and layered levels, huge variety of spells and abilities. Their cons are initially overwhelmingly complex, and I do agree with that. I do think that the game starts out very complex, but they go into scantily clad female characters and boss designs can be a bit much. They gave this game an 8 out of 10 with 2 cons. Walking into this, the promotional material for the game shows that the characters dress like this. If you knew the game that you were walking into, or if you played the demo, you would know this is how the game is, how it was designed. The next article is from Rock Paper Shotgun, and it instantly goes into hitting the game. But the problem that I have with this article is that 90% of the article, besides when they are discussing the combat, is specifically about this one issue. When I read an article or a review, and I'm looking for a review for something, I do not want it to highlight one specific problem constantly. I want it to be balanced. I want to hear about, for terms of games, the graphics, the design, the characters. I want to hear about the story, how immersive it is. I do not want to read a review that only talks about one thing. It starts off saying Code Vein is a sexist action RPG. They go into, one of my first review notes was, this is going to be consistently embarrassingly booby, isn't it? I can't remember if I wrote that after realizing how 80% of the female player character presets are missing 80% of their clothing, or whether it was when the opening cutscene introduced me to this person's breasts. They obviously do not like this type of game. That is all that they are focused on, and that is okay, but the marketing for this game was very specific. I do not think that you should give a game a lower rating just because you do not like one specific thing in it. I think that yes, the character design is a large focus for the game, and it is okay to list that as a con, but when your review is only focused on this one specific thing, I think it is a bit overboard, and I think it's a bit much. I think that we knew what we were walking into with this game. They created it in a very specific way, targeted and marketed to a specific audience, and I think that's okay. If you do not like this type of game, I am sure you do not have to play it. I'm sure no one is forcing you to review the game, even if it is your job. If it offends you so much, you don't have to play it. And if this isn't a game for you, there are so many games that are in the same genre that have less fan service. Just go play one of those. But if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and of course if you did not, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.